Hi, everybody. Good evening. Thanks for being here tonight, candidates and all the Town of Wellington staff. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Really appreciate it. So tonight is our Board of Trustees candidate orientation for the April 7th, 2026 election. And this is an idea to give you guys, give the candidates an idea of what town operations are, why we do what we do, things we do. Sometimes people don't understand or have any idea how we operate and things like that. So this is your opportunity to meet the individual staff members so that if you become elected or even if you don't become elected, you have a face with a name and people you can contact if you have questions. To start out, we have, yes, the town of Wellington has grown from the time that I would like to say Kelly Hodling, Cody Bird, and Bob Gowing were here. It's grown quite a bit over the years. We have not added any new staff recently. In fact, we have some vacancies that we did not fill in 2026. We're waiting to see how budget looks after the second quarter and determine if those positions will be filled. And that includes talking about an additional SRO officer for LCSO. So right now we have 58 full-time employees, 5 part-time, 11 seasonals for a total of 74 employees for the town of Wellington, serving the community and making sure that your community is safe and running like it's supposed to. Talking about governance structure. And I forgot to say, let's hold questions to the end, at the end of the presentation, and then we'll start taking questions from you all. So we're going to all present a little bit, and then if you have questions, we'll take that at the end. So as far as the governance structure, we are a statutory town as opposed to a home rule municipality. That's run under Title 31 in the state statutes. Wellington was incorporated in 1905. So we have quite a history and quite a legacy here. We can look at pictures. We were at Owl Canyon today and looked at some of the pictures that were up and really getting excited about the Cleveland Avenue project because some of those pictures show Cleveland Avenue in maybe 1905. It was a long time ago, but it was very cool to see. Powers and rules provided by the state statute and the Constitution. Talking about Tabor. Tabor is the Taxpayer Bill of Rights. It's Colorado specific. It is not found in any other state in the nation. It limits the state growth to inflation and population changes. The other thing that Tabor does is it doesn't allow for a new tax to be implemented without a vote of the people. So people can talk all day long, how did they implement a new tax? Well, we can't, municipalities or the state cannot implement a new tax without it going to the voters. We can talk about the municipal code. It regulates, it's a local laws adopted by ordinance by the Board of Trustees. Talks about regulating land use, building construction, public health and safety, things of that nature. But that is all found in the municipal code. And those are all ordinances that were adopted by the Board of Trustees. Resolutions, policies, and procedures. Resolutions are not necessarily laws, but a lot of times it's adopting a contract or adopting a policy. And we do that. Resolutions are created a lot of time for a paper trail so that if somebody were to call the town clerk and ask for a copy of the financial management policies that were adopted by the Board of Trustees, we could show the date that it was adopted and have that document ready. So those resolutions are really important. We have a council manager form of government. So the town administrator acts as your CEO. I'm your CEO. I make sure that operations run daily as they are supposed to be. I make sure that your policy that the Board of Trustees has adopted is implemented, which is not always an easy task, but that's why you have this amazing staff. We work really hard to make sure that we are doing what the Board of Trustees has requested, whether that's through a budget decision or through strategic planning. I supervise staff. They don't need much supervision because they're really great. And then address any concerns that citizens come with. A lot of times they'll come to town hall or municipal services building and we'll, get, why is my water bill so high? Things like that. And a lot of times it's easier for me to come down and talk to people as opposed to others trying to address those concerns. Governance structure. So the mayor is elected at large to a 4-year term, presides over the Board of Trustee meetings, watches the agenda through those meetings, and can vote and call a special meeting. In some municipalities, the mayor is not allowed to vote unless there needs to be a tiebreak or something like that. But the town of Wellington, the mayor is allowed to vote on every single item just like a trustee can. The mayor pro tem is appointed at the first regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. That is done by a simple majority vote. It's been done different ways over the years, but once the election is over, we will talk to whoever the new mayor is and see how they want to run that election or run that process. Appointed officers include me, the town administrator, the town clerk, town attorney, town treasurer, and the municipal judge. The Board of Trustees, your direct reports include myself, the town attorney, and the municipal judge. The town clerk and the town treasurer are appointed by the trustees, and that's due to statute, but they do report to the town administrator for operations. And I'm going to turn it over to Hannah Hill.
So I'm Hannah Hill. I'm the town clerk for the town of Wellington. The board does generally follow Bob's rules as general operating processes. So several of the procedures that you will see on your agendas are ordinances. Like Ms. Garcia noted, these are generally used when we're changing municipal code or things that are a little bit more permanent or long-term in nature. Resolutions are generally used for contracts, agreements, generally project-specific short-term tasks. Motions tend to be less formal. They still provide general and clear direction from the board to Ms. Garcia and to her staff. Things like moving into executive session or amending an ordinance and resolution would also be examples of just motions. The board also acts as a local liquor licensing authority. So when a new license is applied for, if we have a show cause hearing or a various other items of liquor applications that we will get, the board will act as the public hearing officer and take action on the application. The board also acts as the library board. You set bylaws and operate the library according to state statute. Staff does provide assistance with wording options on the agenda. You'll see a section for suggested wording on the agenda report with wording such as "I move to." These are just suggestions to prompt you as you make those motions. Some of the titles might be a little bit more lengthy, such as executive sessions or reading the full ordinance title. We just want to make sure that you have the correct verbiage that you need. There are several boards and commissions that the Board of Trustees appoints members to in order to advise the board on various topics. The town clerk does provide coordination for all applications, interviews, and the appointment process. The Board of Adjustment serves as needed to consider items like variances to the zoning code, setback regulations. The Finance Advisory Board reviews draft budgets, long-range financial planning, revenues, and actual expenses, among other responsibilities. The Parks, Rec, Open Space, and Trails advises on items relative to the development and operation of the town's park systems and recreational program. Planning Commission is responsible for developing and implementing the comprehensive plan, including zoning regulations, land use policies, and other guidelines that help shape the community's physical and economic landscape. There are also other boards and commissions that the trustees and mayor may serve on as liaisons, as trustee liaisons, such as the Housing Authority or the CML Policy Committee, other regional partnership entities as well. And you will have a meeting in the end of April, I believe it is, where you as a board will appoint yourselves to those other entities. All elected officials will be issued a town laptop and a town email address. I will work with you to coordinate a time after the election to meet with IT and get all of these items set up. It is important that you understand all open meeting laws. When we have our presentation with Sam Light from CIRSA, he will dive very deep into this for you. But that is not until May, I believe. All town business should be conducted on your town email, and all written record is subject to open record requests. You should also be aware and cautious of conducting business via email. Certain topics like replying all might not be You should be cautious of hitting reply all. The best practice is to reply either to Ms. Garcia or the town attorney, and they will take your response to the full board. Things like providing direction or voting in email can be considered conducting town business. So it's just something that you want to be aware and cautious of as you're checking your email. You, as an elected official, cannot conduct business via email, text message, or other communication system. As elected officials, anytime there are 3 or more of you where business may be discussed and conducted, the meeting does need to be posted as an open meeting. The best way for the community to contact you as a board in whole will be the portal on the town's website. They fill out the information, their email box, and that does go to the entire town board at once.
Okay, oops. Throwing things around. So as you have seen through the various weeks that I try to provide the same communication to all trustees. My job, a lot of times a trustee, or if you noticed, a candidate will email me a question and then I figure out the answer and then I do not forward the question because sometimes trustees are uncomfortable or candidates may be uncomfortable sharing their name or, everybody knowing they're asking all these questions. So it's easier for me to just make that simple and just say a trustee or a candidate has asked me this question. Here's the response. And I present that to everybody. I work for all 7. So I can't just have one trustee reach out to me and say, Patty, I need you to research why are chicken hens allowed in the town of Wellington? That's not an option. Something like that would have to come before the entire board, and a majority would need to determine that if that is something that you would want staff to work on. Staff time is already very limited based on all the projects and things that they're working on you'll hear about. And to add another task on means that we have to remove something else. So it's not a matter of we can keep adding projects, adding ideas, adding research. It really needs to be something that warrants full review because the Board of Trustees has already approved the budget. They've approved the strategic plan. So if we're going to start operating outside of that, what are we going to remove in order to make that happen? My request, and I try not to be a micromanager, but my request is always for the board to include me in emails to town staff. I'm not saying if you wanted to email Cody Bird about something related to the planning department, that's okay. Just copy me on it. That way I'm aware of what's happening, what questions are happening, and if there's something that I need to do on the backside to help explain something, we can do that. But I trust my team, and if anybody does reach out to them without copying me, they're very quick to let me know, and when in their response they copy me. So it's been really good. We have a great system in place, but it really helps me manage day-to-day operations, things that are happening, and projects that might be on the horizon. Board training opportunities. So we've talked about the Board Development and Strategic Planning Retreat Workshop on May 14th and 15th. This will be facilitated by a group called OTOWI, OTOWI. They helped us with our strategic planning a couple of years ago. And they did a great job of helping create the strategic plan that was adopted by the Board of Trustees. It was the 25 to 2029 strategic plan refresher. So OTOWI, once the election is over, OTOWI will be reaching out to each of the elected board members to talk about your dreams, your goals, your visions. So they will have a good idea of what the board's ideas are for Wellington before the training session starts. Things that they'll be working on day one, specific, and this will be just a meeting with the Board of Trustees, and I'm generally there as well as Kelly Hodling, trustee relationship building and values alignment. So making sure that you all know how to work together, and they'll go through different exercises to help you figure out how to get to decision making and things like that. That is one of their specialties. The second day will include the entire leadership team, which was really beneficial the last time we went through this process. Because sometimes the leadership team has ideas about projects and things like that that maybe the trustees hadn't thought about. So it's a great exercise. Leadership jumps in. We have lunch, but it's a great opportunity for us to all get together and for the trustees to get to know the leadership team as well. May 19th, as Ms. Hill mentioned, we have Sam White coming. the Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency, CIRSA, handles all of our risk management and things like that. So they come and Sam White comes and does a great presentation talking about open records law, open meetings law, outlier syndromes, things like that that are really helpful to help you as a board to function and be able to get to the results that you need to. And last but not least, we have scheduled the Colorado Municipal League Annual Conference, which will be held in Westminster, June 22nd through 25th. It's a great conference. It is municipalities from all across the state come, mainly elected officials. Some staff members do come. I usually go. Most managers do attend, and the town clerk generally attends. But it's a great session. You learn a lot about what's happening in other municipalities. You learn what Wellington is going through is not unusual, and it's happening across the state, and you talk about solving those problems together. What are ideas? What are things that have worked and been successful in your organization for all things, whether that's parking, whether that's water, all the things that we deal with on a regular basis. All right, and now I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Hodling.
Good evening. I'm Kelly Hodling, Deputy Town Administrator, and I've been with the town for a little over 7 years now. So important dates for you all to have on your calendars. Budget process is always kind of a rolling thing that we're always working on. And right after the new board is elected, as Patty mentioned, there's going to be opportunity to go into the strategic planning. And then right after that, we're going to be asking the board of what are you thinking about for the year ahead in 2027. So we did that last year, and I think it was really helpful for staff to kind of get an understanding if there's anything that are a priority of the board members that we want to put on our radar as we enter into the whole summer of the budget that we work on. Excuse me. October 2nd is going to be a budget work day. So kind of having a more holistic piece of looking at the entire budget together as a group and having time to answer in-depth questions. We're looking at doing the budget bonanza again. And so we'll figure out what we're going to do within that week. A regular meeting on October 13th for the budget presentation, October 27th, utility rate adoption consideration, and then November 10th, which is another potential adoption date of the budget. And then we've got a variety of community events that the town helps to host that you have there, and you can see those online as well. Do you have yes, the clicker. Okay. So guiding documents, what you'll want to take a look at as you're running for office now, that we have a lot of work that we've already done. They're called master plans, or you look into we have our municipal code. So that's something you want to take a look at of like all of the laws that we have. You can find that on our website. If you need help finding it, just let us know. And then we have our comprehensive plan. So this was a public document that we did. Lots and lots of public engagement. What do you want our community to look like in the future? There's different pillars of each aspect of the comprehensive plan. And then there's master plans. So we have things like stormwater master plan or housing needs assessment master plan. There are so many ways that help inform our work. So it's not just saying, I think we want to fix the curb and gutter over there. It's deep informed work. So all these plans help us as staff present items to you for maybe long-term capital items or things that the community has told us. And all of these plans have a lot of community engagement in them. And you can find that on our website under the master plan. So you take all these master plan, big vision documents, and then each year we kind of had a roadmap that we use through the strategic planning process and then through the annual budget process. So the budget is how are we going to get the work done that was identified maybe in the comprehensive plan or the master plans. And then the strategic plan, like I mentioned, so that's the opportunity for the board to be able to come together and say, okay, we see that there's a lot of different master plans, works underway. What are going to be the priorities for this group that you all want to get accomplished? Operations, grow responsibly, foster economic vibrancy, cultivate and nurture. budget. So some of that high level stuff I already talked about. We oversee grant strategy, grant management, and looking at day-to-day activities. We work closely with other governing bodies, other municipalities, talking to other cities, and then also a lot of communication work. So the messaging, social media, press releases. We've added a podcast called Around the Well. So we're trying to find different ways to reach our community. And then Main Street, so we have the relationship between the town and the Main Street board to be able to have a variety of ways to be able to help our community and our downtown businesses. So looking at the 2026 goals, Cleveland Avenue, the construction project, if you haven't heard about it, it's going to be one of our major capital projects that'll impact the community. And so that's something that we're really focused on. So how to keep businesses engaged and how to support them during the construction season of things. We have a variety of things we'll be planning with that. We do a lot of community outreach. If there's ways that you all think would be better to reach our community, just let us know. We'll be working on ADA self-evaluation and kick off the emergency response plan. So a lot of different things that we have going and key projects of the Board of Trustees. So now I'll turn it back over to Hannah Hill. Thanks. Huh? Oh, I just did it. Well, the screen was off, so it's all good.
The screen was off. I didn't hear. The words weren't in front of me. So I'm Hannah Hill, town clerk again. The town clerk's office is myself, an administrative assistant who operates as my court clerk. We provide support to the Board of Trustees, the town administrator, and all other departments, as well as providing oversight to municipal court. All public records requests are run through my office, and we also see the administrative function of the cemetery in coordination with Public Works. The town clerk also serves as a designated election official and records custodian for the town. We do oversee all licensing as well, provide support for all boards and commissions. And some of the items that we're very excited about in 2026 are, of course, the April election, which you all know about, and our records management policy. Last year, we did adopt the first ever town records management policy. This year, we will go into full swing with our first full year operating under that policy. We will be working with staff for program implementation, along with conducting an incentive program, providing the education and training on what good records management is. This year, staff will also look at the Highland Cemetery, conducting an audit and the option of purchasing a software, a cemetery software that was approved in our 2026 budget. This would provide more resources for the public and also assist in staff efficiency, as well as begin preparations for potential annexation of the cemetery into town limits. As I noted, the town clerk's office oversees the administration of municipal court, and this year with court, we are focusing on our processes and procedures and are looking to implement a satisfaction standard survey for our stakeholders in court. We also oversee a plethora of miscellaneous items with our department of two that keep our day-to-day very busy, and we help sustain all the other departments in the organization.
Good evening. My name is Nick Reed-David. I'm the finance director and town treasurer for Wellington. I've been with the town just shy of 2 years. And in that time, we've had a lot of change in the finance department. We have restructured. So I'll introduce the positions we have now, which are our controller. That's currently Patty Lundy, who just celebrated 19 years with the town. So she's got a lot of great institutional knowledge. The controller oversees our system access. So that's our accounting, enterprise software. She also does all of our monthly reconciliation. She does our financial reporting, and she does a lot of the research and development. So when we do new programs or new software, how does that integrate with our accounting and finance abilities? We have an administrative finance clerk. So this position does our accounts receivable, does accounts payable, and is the purchasing card program manager, as well as our court payments clerk. So they do a lot of the day-to-day tasks to help keep the department moving forward, paying our bills, recording when we receive sales tax, property tax, and the like. We also have a utility billing coordinator. So one of the big responsibilities of the finance department is to oversee municipal utilities billing. As you'll hear, I'm sure shortly, we have three municipal utilities in town, water, wastewater, and stormwater, and we do all the billing out of the finance department. They also do our service orders and customer service. So when you call into the municipal utilities, that's handled by our municipal utilities coordinator. As finance director, I work with the annual budget preparation, so working with the board and the administration for that. External audit of financial statements annually, investment management, policy development, and this year we're excited. We're going to be introducing revenue projections here with the board during the budget development season, and I also assist HR with payroll. So some recent accomplishments is we have complete caught up on all of our past due audits. 21 through 24 have been completed. Excuse me, we have also received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award. And last year, the board adopted an overhaul of our financial management policies. And looking forward, we're working similarly to the town clerk, getting standard operating procedures in place for all of our processes, upgrading our AP system and processing, and then introducing a revenue forecasting model. I'll hand it over to Stephanie with HR.
Hello, my name is Stephanie Anderson. I am the HR director, and our human resources team is a team of two. It is myself, and we have an HR generalist. So human resources, it is really our responsibility to see the whole lifestyle of an employee. So we start at the recruitment stage. We work through payroll, benefits, performance management. So all those different steps and processes, all the way to offboarding. So this year we do have a really big focus on keeping our staff. We've hired them. We want to retain staff. Turnover is expensive to the organization. And we have a really good team right now that we want to keep here. So this year we're going to be doing some in-house training for staff, just how to manage teams better. How can we communicate better with each other? We're also going to be having some other sessions for staff to learn more about their benefits. We have good plans, but they're not being utilized the best they could be. So how can we engage our staff so that they're using their benefits? We really want to make sure people feel connected to the town. So anything with people, I'm the person that they come talk to. I'm really excited about the staff that we have right now. The other piece that I work on is our property casualty insurance, which Patty briefly mentioned. We work with the Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency, or CIRSA. So not only are they doing our insurance, but they also do a lot with safety for us. So they come out and do audits, and we make sure that we are keeping our staff safe. So we have a safety committee that I help. I'm a part of it. We make sure we're rolling out policies so we can keep our staff safe. And that is all for HR. I'll turn it over to IT.
Hi, my name is Alex Diaz. I serve as the IT manager for the town. I've been with the town coming up on 1 year now in April. So my responsibilities include day-to-day tech support for all staff. I manage the cybersecurity and kind of continuous improvement there. System administration across all our servers and cloud infrastructure, including up the treatment plants. Network improvements, infrastructure, negotiating with our vendors to get kind of the best, pricing on new hardware and stuff like that. Hardware lifecycle management, replacing laptops, replacing phones, enrolling all those into a centralized device management program so we can keep track of vulnerabilities, make sure we're patching everything on time and keeping us as secure as possible. For 2026, our primary goal is to move away from contracted IT services and bring everything in-house. We're about halfway there, and I think around June or July we'll be complete and all IT services will be in-house. We're going to overhaul the town's network infrastructure to bring everything kind of under essentially most of the buildings into one network, which will lower licensing costs for firewalls and our network hardware, and also just provide a kind of central control of everything. We'll be expanding our security program with training for all staff and ongoing phishing training, like simulated phishing, where provide staff what an idea of actual phishing email might look like. And if they click it, they can get a little reminder, or it'll explain, this is why this is phishing, and kind of an ongoing training. Yeah. And we're going to be implementing some improved email threat detection to try to prevent the bad guys from getting to staff in the first place. And then continue to provide responsive technical support to all staff and project support to departments and kind of consulting type work here and there. Thank you.
Hi, I am Ross Lajeunesse, and I'm your public library director. I have been with the town now 5 years. I've crossed the threshold. I made it. The Wellington Public Library operates out of the Leaper Center right off to the left. We hold a collection of resources for all ages and backgrounds. It's imperative that we honor every resident in Wellington. The library provides programming, activities, and accessibility for adults, teens, and children. Our responsibilities are we provide access to books, media, and information. We promote and support literacy of all types, audio, visual, all types of literacy, and lifelong learning. We offer accessible print, audible, and digital resources here in the library. We also share with libraries all throughout Colorado, so we have access to anything. There's a state library in Denver, and we have access to Braille, so we can get anything. And we use it. We curate and support community programming. We listen to our community, and we try to create programming that honors the requests of residents, keeps them engaged. We ensure equal access to all. We preserve local history from 1905. We do have some tidbits. And we overall, we provide a safe and inclusive space for all residents. Our 2026 goals continue to increase patronage. I'm always trying to get more people. Continue to develop and implement operational efficiencies. If we're running smoother in the library, we can do more things outside and with other departments. Continue to build upon programming and increase event participation. We try to be everywhere. Seek and enhance collaboration opportunities with local businesses. That's imperative for us. Educational institutions, providing a path from Wellington to universities and beyond. And we work hand in hand with a lot of Larimer County entities, mental health services. We've got our fingers in everything. And increase relevant programming. Sometimes we drop things because it doesn't hit. We create something else. So that's what we do.
Good evening. I'm Cody Bird, Planning Director. I oversee the Planning and Building Department. I've been here for about 8 years, and the Planning Department has grown from 1 to 2 to 6 to 7. So we're constantly evolving, and so is our dynamic workload. The Planning Department is overseeing, let's say Planning and Building Department, oversees kind of the growth of the community. We foster the purposeful growth of the community to achieve that community vision. Ms. Hodelin identified the comprehensive plan. That is the community's vision for where we want to be in the future. And that is the basis for a lot of the policies, the subdivision regulations, rules, guidelines, building codes that this town uses to help achieve our desired ends. Within our department, we have kind of two primary responsibilities. We have the planning department and then we have the building department. Within the planning department, we help create and maintain that comprehensive plan with the Planning Commission. That is the guide. Then we develop policies, regulations, and other tools to help implement that vision. We oversee development reviews. The development review is what is used to help ensure that those new proposals are adhering to the rules, regulations, and ultimately achieving the vision of our comprehensive plan. We also do a lot of, we monitor state legislation and other emerging policies that need to be implemented into the town to make sure we're keeping pace with everything that's changing around us. We partner with local agencies like Larimer County, CDOT, the state, to help achieve desired ends where we are areas of influence overlap and help meet those mutual goals. And in the planning department, We also provide business development support. This is a relatively new addition this year, where we've hired a business development manager, and that position is in the process of working through identifying what the business community needs are, what they're telling us, what do we have, what do we not have, focusing on community marketing and vision, and providing overall business support. So we're really excited to have that new addition to our team this year. And then the building department is a little bit more of we call it the boots on the ground. In our office, the planners are doing long range and current plan review, but the building department is heavily involved in helping guide the construction of our community. They oversee the public health and safety regarding building codes. They review construction plans and documents. They oversee the permitting and inspections process. We do partner with Safe Built. They're a third-party entity that does some of our plan review, and our planning or our building department staff gets to work directly with the customers to help make sure that they're getting the services that they need. We also partner with the Wellington Fire Protection District. They're an outside agency, but we work very closely with them to help implement construction on buildings and make sure that building fire and life safety codes are all being satisfied. Our building team also oversees the contractor and business licensing functions of the town, which is great to have them supporting those that need it and help guide them through all of our processes. We hope that we don't ever need it, but if we ever do, our building team is also integrated with Larimer County Emergency Response for damage assessments in the case of an emergency. And lastly, but not least, our Code and Compliance and Neighborhood Services Office team helps make sure that the community stays attractive, follows the health and safety requirements identified in the municipal code to make sure that if something is a problem or a neighbor has a concern, they know where to go to get the services to help resolve that. We do occasionally see some of those go to municipal court for violations, but that's why we have that staff there to help ensure that there's a consistent process. People are treated fairly, have opportunities to remedy their concerns, and ultimately keep our community attractive. So that's a high-level overview of what we do in the Planning and Building Department, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Cooksey for Parks and Recreation.
Good evening, everyone. Billy Cooksey, Director of Parks and Recreation. I've been with the town for just over 3.5 years. In our department as a whole, on both the Parks and Recreation side, we have myself, Parks and Recreation Operations Supervisor, 2 recreation coordinators and an assistant recreation coordinator, and 3 park technicians. Those are all of our full-time. And at any one point, we can have around 12 to 15 seasonals, just depending on scheduling and maintenance going on out in the Parks and Rec department and all of the activities that we have going on, which includes running the batting cages as well. Specifically for the park side, our division is committed to maintaining and enhancing the public spaces that define our community's quality of life. We currently care for 10 parks, the 6th Street treescape, 3.5 miles of trails, and 86 acres of town property. Looking ahead to 2026, aside from our general maintenance and obligations, our main priorities include finalizing the PROS master plan and community center feasibility study, and that will guide our long-term investment and strategic growth for our department and for the town. We also are going to continue the phased replacement of soft trails with concrete trails, which increases accessibility and usability for our entire community, but we will also be continuing to add soft trails next to those hard trails to make sure that there's multi-use purposes for all of our citizens. And we also are committed to replacing aged maintenance equipment and park equipment to improve the safety and usability of our amenities and all of our infrastructure, which will reduce downtime, improve efficiency, and support sustainable management practices. I guess in general for our parks side of our division, we look at parks as more than just open spaces. They're critical infrastructure that supports public health and community connections and environmental stewardship, along with economic vitality. And then we also have the recreation side under our department. We focus on building community through inclusiveness, accessibility, and diverse programming. We try to promote physical activity in our community with a real strong emphasis on social well-being as well as lifelong engagement in our community members. We provide things like sports, activities, programmings for all ages. We also are heavily involved in supporting town events, large and small, whatever we need to do to help support both the economy and also the betterment of our community. The Parks and Rec team is there to help out. We have really lofty community engagement initiatives with partners such as PSD and the Boys and Girls Club. We're trying to continue always to grow those partnerships to build up from the youth in our community all the way through all ages. We have signature events such as park and plays, movies, movie nights in the park, and Night Beyond Limits, but that's not all that we do. We as a department in the recreation side continuously evaluate residents' interests and whatever we feel the residents need, whatever they tell us that they need, we're here to support them. And one of our main goals is just fostering belonging and supporting youth development, strengthening families, and enhancing overall community health. I will give it off to Bob Gowing.
I'm Bob Gowing. I'm the Director of Public Works, which also includes the Utility Department. I just got to say, I've been here 8 years, and I absolutely love what I've been able to do for this town or in working with the people here. And the opportunities have been enormous, and I couldn't be happier to still be employed here. And I've also got a timer because I can talk about this all day long, but I don't want to overstay my welcome. So Public Works, really, we're responsible for pretty much all the town's infrastructure that's not in a park. If it's outside and it's not in a park, it generally it's our responsibility in Public Works: streets, transportation, stormwater management, water, wastewater. The whole list is up there. But our goal is to manage the entire life cycle. And I think the word life cycle might be the most important word on this slide. That wasn't necessarily a approach when we kind of created the new Public Works Department that we have nowadays. But we certainly inherited a lot of it, millions and millions of dollars in infrastructure at various phases of its life. Everywhere from it should have been replaced 50 years ago to brand new. There wasn't a whole lot of brand new, but we certainly had a lot of things to fix quickly. We are currently organized with 2 large divisions. Streets and engineering, I think, is what we're calling one, and then utilities is the other. And I think you know the people that are leading those two departments. We've grown a lot in the last 8 years. We currently have 29 employees in our department. Two of those positions are currently vacant as part of the kind of the cost saving exercises that we went through with the budget. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nathan Ewert, our Deputy Director of Engineering and Streets.
Thanks, Bob. I'm Nathan Ewert, Deputy Director of Public Works Engineering. I'm in charge of the engineering division. There's 2 other engineers besides myself. It's also worth noting Bob is an engineer, so we do let him participate in our in our staff meetings occasionally. He helps out. Engineering division supports core public works functions, including engineering, transportation, drainage, and we work closely with the utility division. We just finished the 2 large expansion projects that the engineering team oversaw throughout the design and construction phases of both of those. Some of our key responsibilities are the master planning projects that you've heard about throughout tonight. There's the stormwater master plan that's existing, the sanitary sewer master plan, and we're currently wrapping up a distribution system master plan as well. We provide construction management and inspection on capital projects. We also provide in-house engineering design You may have seen some work going on in the alleys downtown. That's an in-house engineering design that the engineers did the design, did the plan sheets, and now the street team is putting that vision, bringing it to life. We also provide review and construction inspection for development projects. And by construction inspection, I mean if there's public infrastructure related to those development projects, we will oversee that installation in those construction items specifically, not necessarily the private development side of it. Other duties include floodplain management. As you may or may not know, there's 2 large floodplains through town, Box Elder, Coal Creek. I get calls weekly almost on those floodplains with questions and concerns about them. And lastly, we work very closely with the streets department on various maintenance projects and drainage projects throughout town. And generally, I provide oversight on the street and drainage funds themselves. On the street operation and maintenance side, that is a team of 7 led by the street superintendent, and it's responsible for the operation, maintenance, rehabilitation, and replacement of town infrastructure. We currently maintain about 56 miles of paved streets. That includes curb, gutter, sidewalks, ADA ramps, signs, street striping. And then when it does snow, we will remove the snow, but it doesn't snow very often apparently. That team also maintains the drainage system, which includes swales, detention ponds, and various structures throughout town. We also have a fleet mechanic included in those 7 staff. They maintain the vehicles and equipment. They take care of the minor items. Larger items, they'll handle getting those out to the various vendors for the repairs. The team also provides general maintenance on existing town facilities. That can be anything from painting the walls, changing light bulbs, changing out toilets, hiring HVAC professionals if a unit needs to get replaced. So they handle a lot of those work orders that come through. And then lastly, as I previously mentioned, they handle a lot of the in-house construction projects, the downtown, the alley work going on, the concrete trails on the east side. We did a lot of that early this year because it was warm enough. So why not get it out of the way? They'll do fencing and landscaping and other various things throughout town. That's Megan's turn. I 5 years. I don't know. I was trying to look that up.
I'm Megan Smith, Deputy Director of Public Works, in charge of utilities. And I've been with the town for almost exactly 4.5 years, which means Nathan has been here for 5. So kind of the overarching mission, of course, in public or in utilities is to ensure that we're providing reliable, safe drinking water, and that we're protecting the public health and environment by then capturing, treating that wastewater to standards that allow us to discharge it to Box Elder Creek. So we have this division is broken up. I've mainly myself, and then we have some 3 operations teams, and I'll review those next. But in the sort of office end of the world, I, in very close conjunction with the engineering group, specifically Nathan, provide a lot of leadership and program management. And I do provide financial oversight for the town's, both the town's water and wastewater utilities. That does include our source water development planning as well. I do lead all the source water program planning and procurement, and with engineering, we'll develop that project delivery method, whatever that takes for our next source water effort. I have served for the last 4 years or so as the town's lead for utility rate setting and impact fee development. I coordinate closely, I would say on the daily, as do my superintendents that report to me, with the Public Works Engineering Department on master planning, CIP development, design, construction. I would say daily. For myself, for sure, and probably all 3 of the superintendents communicate daily with the engineering group as well. I do oversee, and in the end, I ensure compliance with all state and federal regulatory requirements for both utilities and the distribution and collection system. But to be perfectly honest, the superintendents manage that on the daily. Moving on to the next slide, please. I did want to highlight there in the last bullet you saw, we have 14 full-time equivalent staff in utilities, not including myself. I guess I would make 15, but we have 14 operations staff. That's a very lean team to run 3 operations groups, boots on the ground every day, 24/7, 365 service and support, emergency response. So our water treatment facility has 6 full-time staff. We have a superintendent, a lead operator, and then 4 operators. They're operating 2 water treatment facilities on the daily, our surface water conventional plant, and then also our nanofiltration unit that treats the water that comes out of the Wilson wells. And we're producing over 300 million gallons of water annually. They do maintain that infrastructure in-house. We don't have a separate, well, we have the streets and maintenance team that helps do a lot of work, but we don't have a dedicated we don't have an electrician on staff. We don't have a dedicated like pump maintenance team. Our operators manage, they do their own yard work. They do their own cleaning most of the time. They are doing their own equipment troubleshooting, not less so, let alone just processing and operating the plant on the daily. They're monitoring system performance daily, hourly to meet peak demands. Again, those superintendents are managing the daily sampling, continuous monitoring of compliance processing, and providing 24/7 operational response. Our collection and distribution team, we have 3 full-time staff. We've got a lead supervisor and then 2 operators in that group. They are maintaining your unseen underground infrastructure every day. So we have about 70 miles of water distribution lines, over 50 miles of wastewater collection lines, 900 plus valves in the ground, over 4,000 water meters, over 500 fire hydrants. They ensure that all of that works every day. That group actually currently does our meter reading. We have about 2/3 to 3/4 of our meters are smart meters at this point. The remaining 1,000 or so meters have to be physically touched in order to be read. So that happens every single month. They're operating a pump station, a drinking water pump station in Buffalo Creek. We also have a wastewater lift station down at Viewpoint. They are also kind of the eyes and ears and the public-facing entity for utilities. They're out in the community every day. They do a lot of customer support between meter reading, leak investigation, service concerns. They're at people's houses every day generally. And they are also ensuring that our distribution system is complying with all applicable regulations. We have regulatory requirements, monthly, quarterly, annual, every 3-year regulatory requirements that they test for. In our Rado reclamation facility, we have 5 full-time staff. We have a superintendent, a lead operator, and 3 operators. They're operating a brand new water treatment facility and still learning every single day. It's been some big process changes there, some giant new equipment, and including programming and controls equipment. They're also monitoring 24/7 and responding overnight all the time, sleeping on site when we don't have power, as has happened once a month for the last 3 months. Those Excel power outages really affect our drinking water treatment facility is not on Excel. Our wastewater treatment facility is on Excel, and we have lost power every time the town has over the last few months. And they're on their toes all the time. And again, also responding to all of the regulatory requirements that we have, monthly submissions, and taking on some new ones, as with our new wastewater treatment plant expansion. We exceeded the capacity limitation that required that we now have a stormwater discharge permit, and they're learning how to do that monitoring and compliance requirements this year. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay, I just have to clap for my team because they are so amazing. I tell you, I've worked for a lot of several municipalities, and the dedication, professionalism, and education that this team brings to Wellington every single day is just mind-blowing to me, because this team is fantastic. You hear, and what you heard from them tonight was very high level. This was the way up here. We don't have time for this down here. And you will learn about that as you go through the process, and when we go through the strategic planning process and things like that. We are just about out of time. So what I'm thinking is that we can maybe I can open up that side door, and if you all, and staff can go back there, and if you have questions for staff, you can go back and talk to them. Are you guys okay with that, my team? Okay, thumbs up. Okay. So we can just go through that door, and then you can go back there and talk with them and ask questions or just introduce yourself if you haven't yet. So thank you so much for your time tonight. This has been fantastic. Thank you.